me of a meme. It was a meme of a girl in high school, a girl and a guy in high school.
How you gonna shame me?
Hold on, I'm not shaming you. I'm actually
I'm
about to bring you full circle. I got your back. Watch this. In the meme, they were in high school. When the nerd came up to the girl in high school, she was like, no, I don't want you. And then once she became a baby mama, he was a CEO executive and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I don't want you. I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of the niggas that got hurt in high school while we was out fucking with the drug dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible-ass decisions with grown-ass niggas preying on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go. You didn't get no pussy in high school. You getting pussy now. Get over it,
Absolutely.
nigga.
Because how many times do you hear men bring up, but what about the girls who had the older guys picking them up in high school?
Get the fuck over
it. Was right. It wasn't right then. It is not right now. And she wasn't the one who was responsible.
I guess the theme of tonight is avoiding accountability.
Repeat, enemy nuke has been launched.
Hey, let me say something real quick. Whenever I meet a woman, doesn't matter what atmosphere it's in, it could be work, it could be my personal life. The very first thing I ask myself is, whose protection is she under? And if the answer to that question is no one's, then you need to do a deeper dive to figure out why that is. She gave an example of a young woman in high school who was getting picked up by an older guy who's probably not a minor while she was in doing God knows what with her.
Right.
And she's saying, I didn't pick you in high school. I was messing with these older guys, these drug dealers, these hood dudes, these Tyrones, Chads, etc. And I curbed you in high school. But now that you got something going for yourself, you need to get over that. That was years ago. You need to give me a chance now. So ultimately, what she's saying is, I'm done riding the cock carousel and I'm ready for you. And that's you, as CGA, Coach Greg Adams would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, no, I was not your first choice. And I'm not about to come back and clean up the mistakes that you made. Look, carrying other people's burdens, I'm over that stuff. Everybody had a hard life and dealt with something to a degree, and I get it. You made yourself a victim. But I want to ask the women this that got picked up and was dealing with these other guys. Would your father approve of it? Would your grandfather approve of it?
Right.
Would your brothers approve of it?
Uncles.
Or did they tell you that dude was trash and you completely ignored them and proceeded with it anyway? So now you got kids buying, or you got trauma from him, and now you come into the guy who's doing something with his life and you expected him to help you clean up your life and help you deal with those traumas.
Right.
If you choose to do so, fellas, okay, fine, that's on you. But just know that she's punishing you for something that somebody else did to her. And where's the fairness in that?
Yeah. For starters, we all know somebody's gonna she's probably gonna get rewarded anyways. I always find it funny how she's playing a victim card, where a lot of times, and I understand that, kids will make silly or dumb decisions. They're not Me Tooing any of those dudes that were picking them up that they should not have been picking them up. I know that. I have yet to see those stories come out. They always play victims. There's always this, there were these guys that preyed upon us, blah, blah, blah. First, like you said earlier, whose protection are you under? Or at least, are you saying your mom wasn't taking care of you? Your mom was not paying attention to you? Because let a guy not pay attention to his kid. Or let a father not pay attention to his kid. They're trying to call CPS on that person. Like, I don't understand why they feel you need to be a victim on these types of situations. And then, a little bit down the timeline when it's time to date, with intent, or at least find that guy, you're expecting that guy to take a deal where you got, defiled, you got slutted out, you got destroyed when you were in high school and going into college. Because a lot of times, that doesn't just stop there. That's probably maybe like when it begins. But when they get to college, it goes a whole nother level. So, and that's fine. Everybody has a pass. Everybody, does whatever. But you're still expecting men, which to their credit, though, they know that men don't care, because we are still seeing women get wifed up when they have like this. I mean, corn stars are getting wifed up, and then you got people on OnlyFans that are, my boyfriend's okay that I do OnlyFans. Like, I don't know why she feels that. She knows why men feel the way that they do, but when it comes to situations like that where women have made poor choices, poor dating options, or made poor dating choices, but she's acting like, well, you shouldn't be beholden to that. I'm telling you, how I know they just be lying. If a man said he had some type of, I'm gonna preface this with a pause, but if a man had an experience with another man, and he told a woman that, she's not dating him. She's not even going to be remotely close. Like, hey, that's in my past. You don't have to worry about that. No, I was just curious, blah, blah, blah. They're going to hold that against you. No woman is ever most women do not date men, and especially in the Black community. Most women do not, if they know that the guy is down low, or had a download experience. Most women do not date those types of men. And then most women do not date trans men or trans women, whatever they're called, transformers. They don't date them. So I don't know why that's you have.
Let me take it further than that real quick, because now I got to call out the hypocrisy of some women. Some women, as pro LGBT as they claim to be, they won't date a man who maybe he slept with a man once years ago and decided that he wasn't going to do it again.
Yeah,
I've seen that too.
You know what's funny about that? We have to go to like an extreme situation though, because in most cases it's not just one, but we have to go to a very extreme situation where women, you won't give a pass for one, and even if it's like just one act, you're still not giving a pass. And let something happen where we're seeing it play out with. I know a lot of people are not going to know who these people are, but Remy Ma and Papoose. Whoa, she said she told all the secrets in the bedroom and trying to discredit this dude, and in which we've seen that happen. So you don't even have to know who Remy Ma and Papoose are, but you can know. You just have to understand that when it comes to like these relationships, and I see a lot in the community, relationships where they start telling all the details about what you like done to you and what you enjoy the woman doing to the guy. So take that for what you will though, but unfortunately for like a lot of women, and a lot of women are pretty descriptive and active about what happened to them. And so when you put that stuff out there, when you start saying like, hey, these guys victimized me, you're going to be seen as a victim for one. And the guy knows is that he knows that you'll weaponize that against them, because they don't weaponize that information they don't use that information to go after their attacker or the person that took advantage of them. They use that information, they use those experiences, and they weaponize that against other men. The men that didn't even do anything to them, or maybe they had a bad situation with them, some guy or whatever happened, but they say, hey, these types of men have been taking advantage of me, and I deserve this type of lifestyle, or I deserve to be happily married. And unfortunately for a lot of them, because they've had too many experiences, that's not going to happen for them. And the guys that don't give them that lifestyle, they just shame them. They just say, you didn't get any when you were in high school, or you didn't have any. You're still lame, or whatever the case is. I mean, we kind of saw that with Cam Newton going against Jason Whitlock, where not from the women's side, but we have Simps out here that will come to bat for some of these women and try to shame these men. Like, hey, Jason Whitlock, you're not getting the types of women that look like Joy Taylor. And I would argue Jason Whitlock got money. And money, last time I checked, money is the type for all women. And the guy that she was getting, stroked out to, Charlie Dixon, pause. That guy, I don't know a lot of women that would say he's number one on their list, but the money is on their list.
We should probably come back to that Jason Whitlock thing at some point, because I think 9 out of 10 people totally missed the point that he was trying to make. But
yeah.
I'm going to bring this back to trauma real quick, because one of the things that I'm not going to do anymore is sit and trauma bond with you anymore.
Facts.
Look, I'm fully aware that there's a lot of scumbag men out here, ladies. Let me extend that olive branch. Every guy is not a good guy. Most are, but there's some scumbags out there. You dealt with this scumbag. But what you're not going to do is make me feel bad about being a man because the man that you chose initially did you the way that he did you.
Yeah.
There's a very thin line between listening to your traumas and inheriting your traumas. If you don't
Yes.
go and deal with this and get the healing that you need, you're just going to keep talking about it all the time to the point where that's all the guy that you're interested in is going to associate you with. You need to heal up and deal with all the traumas that you have. And if you have not done that, you should not be trying to find a husband. You should not be dating. And truth be told, you probably shouldn't be taking any more wood. Maybe you should do the celibate thing for a while and get tight. Same thing with the men. That's a lot of men out here got played by a lot of women and they turn into savages over it.
Hmm.
You got to heal up, dude, because you might meet a real one day. You don't want to bring those problems to her. You got to be ready to start building stuff. You don't need to be going back in time trying to rehash the same issues over and over again. It's a waste of time and it's not productive.
Yeah, and one of the important things that you said in that whole thing is the trauma bonding, and you're absolutely right. Men should not be trauma bonding with women because a lot of times you don't have the full story, anyways. You don't know exactly what happened. I mean, I could tell you a bunch of times. I have yet to see where one woman, whether I was dating or trying to date or just talking to, take accountability for what they did in their situation. But you know what a lot of them will do is that they will end up trauma bonding with their kids, and then their kids take on that trauma bond, and they have like a kind of a tilted outlook towards relationships, towards men. And for a lot of men that have the trauma, for a lot of sons that have the trauma bond with their moms, they don't really understand like why their mom is going through that stuff. They just know that dad did mom wrong and mom had nothing to do with this, and mom, needs to be saved by me. It's interesting. I just had a conversation with a woman who was, had all the degrees and had kind of had like kind of a plan. She was divorced, and crazy thing she said to me is that because she said she wanted to like move to like California, which is wild. But she said, once she gets a little bit older, she has his retirement age, she wants to have like her kids take care of her, her sons take care of her. And I'm like, wait, what? Why would your sons take care of you? You know, well, I took care of them. I'm like, that's not your kid's responsibility. That's not your son's responsibility. You know what's funny about that? That's always
Retirement plan.
that the retirement plan is always put on the sons, never the daughters. I have yet to hear anyone say like my daughter's going to take care of me. It's always the sons supposed to take care of their, divorced single mom or whatever the case is. But I told her like, well, isn't that why you need a man? Like, I never need a man. Well, technically, you do need a man in virtue of your sons, because your sons, they got to take care of you essentially. Like when you get to that, I mean, a lot of people don't think about like what happens after 40 or let alone 50. Somebody at some point, somebody's gonna have to take care of you, or at least check in on you. And either you got somebody with you, or you're gonna have to move into some type of assisted living facility. So for a lot of people, they're not gonna want to do that. So they expect their kids, their sons, i.e., their sons, to take care of them. And that is not the best, that is not the right thing for your sons to have to take care of you. No, you get back out there, you start being honest about why you're dating people, or why you can't be in a relationship, and you got to start making some concessions. Like men, we have to settle for women and all of their baggage. You're not responsible. You don't have to be a goddamn therapist. How important is therapy if every woman's on therapy or has to see a therapist and it's not working? I mean, everyone's, the women that I know that have seen a therapist. Again, these are my anecdotal experiences. They've seen their therapist for at least a year plus. To me, that's kind of, I think that's a bit much. Like, are you moving forward in your relationships? Like, what do you have to show for it? We're not talking about people that had some type of traumatic experience in their life. We're just talking about people that are trying to figure out their their shit in life, but also like you've been seeing the same therapist for like X amount of years. What is going to happen? What have you learned from those experiences? Have you taken a better approach to your relationships? Have you had a better approach to like, men in your lives? Because to me, that sounds like that's never going to change. So if you want to see a therapist for someone to listen to you, fine. But if they're not helping you progress forward into a relationship, why are you even seeing one then?
Yeah, and again, I'll reveal a little bit about myself. I am someone who has recently stopped going to therapy. I was going for about 3 years. My therapist was dope, but I also know that a lot of therapists are trash. It has to be results based. Are you making any progress? Are you
Yeah.
still dealing with the same stuff over and over again? One of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is that was something I talked about with her about having a healthy outlet to let stuff off my chest, right? And another thing about a good therapist is you're not going to have a lot of time with them because essentially they move on to other stuff or they get called to do something else. My particular therapist, I stopped going because she had a passion for prison ministry. She wants to counsel people who are in prison and help them reacclimate back into life once they're released. I can't knock that. But I'm not, I do, as a man, you have to be extra careful because a lot of these therapists will give you feminist talking points and have you feeling bad for being a man and standing firm on your opinions. So
Yeah.
it's very crucial that you find the right one, and it has to be results based. It has to be unbiased. And if you find yourself walking on eggshells and censoring yourself, you got the wrong therapist. Find another one.
Yeah, yeah. And for the folks going to marriage counseling or obviously a marriage therapist or whatever, I just I have yet to hear as and there's some that are out there, but the ones I've heard is that it results in divorce or a separation and or some type of situation where, hey, maybe you need some time apart and then you should also go see other people. Like the therapy nowadays, that's the only I guess industry where you don't have to get it right and you don't even have to explain like, even have any progress towards getting it right. You just got to be the sympathetic ear, listen, and then give them like and I know for the therapists that are watching, I know you guys are like, what the hell is more than that? I'm sure there is. What all I'm saying is that for the bunch of folks that are going for all this mental health crisis we just had in the last 10 years that just crept out of nowhere. And I think some people probably do need some therapy or need to at least have a kind of a conversation with other men. I think more importantly for men, because even though I've never, seen a therapist, I've been to men's groups, and I think that's a little more beneficial. Talking to other men about situations because all these men had different walks of life, married, not married, kids, no kids, or wanting to have kids, and then they're dealing with all the types of situations, though. But I think the most important thing you said, though, is you got to make sure that you're not getting feminist talking points in those situations or situations that put you in a bad a light in your household, though, because when you try, I mean, there was some conversation that took place where I didn't agree with, and I made it known that I didn't agree with some of these things. And it's good to have different opinions, though, but you definitely have to like always lean towards. I feel like you're never gonna go wrong leaning towards masculinity versus femininity because for most men that is gonna be detrimental. And it's always important that if a woman sees you, I know everybody's like, man, we're getting all the bad advice today. So be it. When it comes to like, trying to, move forward in relationships, I know one of the things that will backfire on you is that showing some type of, if a woman sees you cry or, I know there's some situations where it's okay for a woman for you to cry as a man, but a lot of times, like if you're just having a bad day, that ain't gonna cut it.
Nah, you ain't. I cry, but you ain't gonna see it happen too
that,
much.
that ain't
I'm not
gonna
even
cut
about to
it.
sit here. I look. I ain't. I can't be around dudes that cry all the time. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Look, if somebody died, I get it. I
Birth of a
look when I
child,
birth of a child is one.
MVP.
Look, I cried at my damn wedding, but I didn't cry until it was time for me to dance with my mom, and I saw that she was crying. But
Yeah,
I was cool up until that point. But no, I get it, man. But don't ever let them tell you that masculinity is toxic and bad either, because it's not. There's no such thing as toxic
it'll save your
masculinity.
marriage.
I will argue with anybody and debate anybody who thinks that masculinity is toxic because I guarantee you, with every example they give you, is no masculinity. Real men know they have power and they don't abuse it. Period.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Man,
So
we got off track a little bit, but that was still a good combo.
Hey, you know what? I hope people, the way I clip this up, the way the views go. Unfortunately, sometimes audience, we appreciate the people watching it and reacting, but I can tell a lot of y'all kind of drop off after a certain time. So if you made it this far, thank you.
Shout out to my therapist. She's listening to this too. She always listens.
All right, next topic.